Right. See, in the last class, we are talking about how to implement the synchronization in Java and what are the various methods we have to implement synchronization in Java. And also we discussed about the basics of producer-consumer problem. Producer-consumer problem. So as I said, so there will be one producer who will be producing the items or who will be producing the some list of articles where there should be one consumer who will be consuming it, right? So we have seen one practical example where there will be one manufacturing company who will be producing some articles which needs to be shipped to the consumer side, right? So how to solve this problem using our programming? So in Java, when it comes to solving this producer consumer problem, we have mainly two methods which we are going to use. One is called wait method, second one is called notify method. One is called wait method and second one is called notify method. So you can observe here. So the first method is called wait method and second one is called notify method. So what is this wait method and notify method? See, as we have seen discussed or as we have discussed with respect to threads, right? So whenever one thread is waiting, it will be acquiring the whenever one thread is executing the task, it will be acquiring the monitor. It will be acquiring the monitor. So what is meant by monitor? When a thread is having monitor, it means that thread is doing some task, so that other threads has to wait. Other threads has to wait. So same way here. So the wait method tells that the calling thread to give up the monitor and go to sleep until some other thread enters the same monitors and calls this notify and notify all methods. So what does it mean? See, in producer consumer problem, whenever a consumer is trying to read the data or whenever the consumer is trying to get the object, if the object is not available, object is not available, what it has to do? The consumer has to wait. The consumer has to wait. Up to what time it is going to wait? So we are going to get the notification called notify. So the moment consumer gets notified, the thread will wake up and it will go to the particular object to perform or to get the object. And also we have one more method called notify all. So which will make up all threads to get invoked or wake up with the all the threads which are in the wait method, So what is basically this notify and wait is, say for example, we have one shared resource. That shared resource is accessed by multiple threads. So coming to producer consumer problem, how it is going to work? The producer will be producing it, consumer will be consuming it. So when the buffer is full, producer cannot produce. What he need to do? He need to go to the sleep position. He need to go to the wait method. So the moment the buffer is full, the producer will be in the wait condition. What about the consumer? Consumer has to get a notification saying that, hey, there is a item in the buffer. So consumer has to go and pick the item. Then buffer will become empty. That empty information has to be sent to the producer. Then producer, what he is going to do? Is going to put back one more item in the empty place. So basically here there is no big logic. There are two methods which we are seeing, wait and notify. What is wait? So when a producer feels that there is a buffer filled, then he has to wait for the buffer to become empty, right? At the same time, when the buffer is empty, consumer has to wait until producer produces it. So that means it is a kind of a relation between the producer and consumer. Both has to work sequentially. So the producer will be producing it, consumer will be consuming it. Producer will be producing and consumer will be consuming. So when we are doing this task, as we have seen in the last class, there is a possibility that you may get into different problems. You may get into different conditions. More than problems, we will get into different conditions like deadlock conditions. See, one thread is keep on accessing the resources, or one consumer is keep on taking the resources, and it is making some time delay. What about other consumers? They will be under impression that, oh, one consumer is working, so let me wait. But this consumer is taking some additional time, or some failure is there in the consumer. Again, it leads to the deadlocks. So basically, what we are discussing now is, in order to implement producer consumer problem in Java, we are going to use wait method, notify all method. Wait method, notify all method. So wait method says that, so you have to wait until that particular work completes. Notify method says that, so we need to wake up the thread, then we'll use notify. If you want to wake up all the threads together, then you will use the notify all. So coming to the writing of this producer consumer problem, already we have seen the execution of this. The output is very simple, as you have seen here last class. So producer will be producing it, consumer will be consuming it. Producer will be producing, consumer will be consuming. So one producer producing and consumer is consuming. Then what is the logic behind this? We are going to see today. I'm just going to explain the program, right? Right. So let us start from the first. First, what we are doing, we are creating a class called producer consumer test. So we are going to implement the producer consumer problem. That's why we are naming it as producer consumer test. And as usual, I'm writing the main method. As usual, I'm writing the main method. So for one class which we have created as a my class, I'm creating an object called C. What is this my class contains? We will see next. And we have one more class called producer. We are creating a producer object called P1. We have one more object called consumer, where we are creating a consumer object, and we are telling that the producer is going to take the variables as start from 1. Consumer is going to take from 1. So that is object 1 it is going to initialize. So what is this C? What is this one? We will see when we go to the producer consumer threads. Now we are starting the thread, producer thread and consumer thread. We are starting producer thread and consumer thread. So this is a main program. So once again, I'm just repeating. We are calling the producer consumer test one class. Within that, I'm writing the main method. So in this program, I have 3 classes. First is my class, producer class, consumer class. So for every class, I'm creating one object. So my class object is called C, producer class object called P1, consumer class object called C1. So when I say producer P1, so it is going to create one new object P1, where the my class variable will be taken as a parameter with starting value as 1. Same thing with the consumer C1. So consumer is going to take my class object as a reference C and starting with the value of 1. Now we are starting both the things, both the object P1 dot start and C1 start. Now let us see the my class. What is there in the my class? So this is the my class. So this is a class which we have written called my class. So within that, I'm taking a variable called contents. I'm taking a variable called contents, and this variable is of type data type integer and scope specifier as private. And I'm also taking one more variable, boolean variable available. So it is also private variable and initial value is false. Now what I'm doing here, I'm writing one synchronized method. What is meant by synchronized? So only one thread can access this entire block at a time. So the first method I'm writing is get method. Right? Again, I'm writing one more synchronized method called put method. Get and put. Why we are writing get and put? Because consumer has to take the item, that is called get. Producer has to put the item, that is called put. Very simple. Understand first non-technically. Technically program you can understand. Consumer has to get it, so we are calling get. Producer has to put it, we are calling put. Now we will see what is going to happen in this get method and put method. So the moment we call the get method, first what we are doing, we are checking whether available equals to false. What does it mean? When there is no item in the buffer. So that is nothing but available equals to false. So availability of the item equals to false. That means there is no item. Then what thread has to do? It has to wait. So try and catch block, we are just throwing interrupt, because if there is any interrupt, it will get catched here. So the moment we will feel that availability is false, that means there is no item in the list. So we are assigning again available value as false only, and we are notifying all the threads. Saying that nothing is there in the buffer, and we are returning the contents. Because this C value we required there, right? So that's why we are returning the contents. Whatever contents are there, we are going to return it. So this is the get method. So whenever there is no item in the get method, in the buffer, when you call get method, the thread has to wait because there is no item. Same way, we are going to see the put method now. What is put method? In the put method, we are checking availability value. If availability is false, then it has to perform some action. But when availability is true, that means buffer is full, then the thread has to wait. And the contents value will be whatever value available in the buffer. Contents value will be whatever value available in the buffer, and availability value becomes true, and it will say every thread, hey, there is a items in the buffer, you can start consuming it. There is a full buffer items, you can start consuming it. So that is the notify all method. So I think everyone is clear up to this. There is one get method, one put method. Why we are writing get method? So to check whether the buffer is full or not. If available variable value is true, that means buffer is full, we are going to take out that items. How we are going to take out that? We are going to notify all the threads. Notify all is the method which we are going to use, saying that hey, you go and take the or consume the items. So which thread is going to access? As I said in the threads concept, first come first serve. Which thread comes first? They are going to access first. So that is with respect to your put method. Whereas coming to get method, we are going to check the availability value. If it is false, that means the buffer is empty. No one can access the items. No one can access the items. So that is about the my class. The next class which we are writing here is consumer class. Class consumer. So it is going to extend the thread class because we have created a consumer producer as a threads. So now what we will do in this, we will see. So I'm creating one with respect to my class, I'm creating a variable called my class. I'm creating one more variable called number. Now if you remember, when I wrote the consumer, I have taken two variables. Now I'm assigning those two variables here. So my class C int number C comma 1 we have taken. So now my class is C because already we have assigned there. This dot number is equals to number. So that means initially some value like 1 will be there, right? Because we have passed the 1. The first element will be 1. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to run the run method. See, now you need to understand here there are two concepts which are combined. One is threads concept, second one is your producer consumer concept. So in the thread, which is the main method, the run method, which it is going to execute. Now the value has been assigned to 0. The value has been assigned to 0 initially. There is no item in the list. Now the consumer started consuming it. Now consumer is going to start consuming it. So from which method we are going to consume? We are going to get consumed from the get method. We are going to consume from the get method. So that's why I am calling the myClass.get method, which is assigning to a value called value. But initially, what is the value? The initial value is 1. The initial value is 1. So the moment we get that value, so it is going to consume the item and it is going to repeat the task. It is going to repeat the task. How many elements are there in the buffer? That much time it is going to consume the data. That much time it is going to consume the data. So that is what it is going to do. Again, I am just repeating for your understanding. Please try to understand. First, what I am doing for my class object, I am creating a my class variable or attribute. And we have taken two attributes in the consumer method. So that's why I am creating one more attribute as number. This value already we assigned it as 1. Now what is going to happen? The my class is assigned to a variable called C and we have number value as 1. So this is nothing but that particular instance. What is the value of number? 1. So it is going to take that 1 here. Now what we are going to do? We are going to use the run method. Here we are going to initially take a variable called value which is assigned to a 0. Now what I am going to do? I am going to call the get method. What is get method? So the get method is nothing but so we are going to check whether the availability of the buffer items is false or true. If it is false, so directly we will say no items available, so we cannot fetch anything. We cannot fetch anything, right? So we need to get the items. So that means someone has to put the items. So when they put the items, we will get the items. Now let us go to the producer part of it. What producer has to do? He need to put the items in the list, in the buffer. Now again same thing we are doing for the my class. We are taking my class, one number we are taking and we are trying to put the items into the producer. So how to put the items into the producer? Again we are taking the run method. We are taking put method. So that means the producer is going to produce the items, or producer is going to put the items one by one in the buffer, one by one in the buffer. So that is what he is doing here. You can see I equals to 0, I less than 10, I plus plus. So my class dot put of I. So he is going to put the I value, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So like that he is going to do. So then that is printed here, and we are writing one sleep method. So for a random number of time, so we are writing the sleep method. So first producer will produce it, consumer will get it. Producer will produce it, consumer will get it. See, simple program, lengthy program, but simple program. What we are doing? We are writing get method, we are writing put method. Get method is for the consumer to get it, put method is for the producer to put it. So there is a buffer. How they are putting it? We are creating a class called my class and one more variable called number. So initially we are going to put the value 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? But coming to here, what is happening? Because we are taking the I value equals to 0, first I value will be 0, 0 is put into the buffer. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And consumer is going to consume it same way by using the get method. Same way is going to consume with the help of get method. So basically here you need to remember two methods, three classes. First class is my class where we are writing put method, get method. Second class is consumer class where we are going to get the value if the producer putting the value into it, or if the producer is putting some value into the buffer. Producer is a class where we are going to put the values into the buffer, right? So this is how producer consumer problem has been defined. Producer consumer has been defined. So how we are implementing it? With the help of threads. With the help of threads, because there we started one thread as p1 dot start, c1 dot start, and here we are writing the main logic under run. Main logic under run. So one thing you should remember is for the producer method, we are passing two variables. One is called my class C, that is object reference of my class, and number. So the number is nothing but, so initially nothing will be there. So we'll be passing one value. So then it will start consuming the values from this run method, right? So this is how producer consumer problem has been defined. Is it clear? Any doubts in this? Any doubts in this?
No doubt, sir.
So what about others? If there is no doubt, please raise your hands. If any doubts, put in the chat box. It's very simple but lengthy program. In your exam, you will get direct question. Explain producer consumer problem. First, you need to write what is producer, what is consumer. You need to write about wait method, notify all method. Wait method, notify all method. Then you need to write the program. See, you may ask one question here. Sir, do we need to write the order same like this? No, not really required. There is a simplified producer consumer problem. Those who feels that this is very lengthy, you can search in the Google. There is a very simplified producer consumer. I'll also share that program with you. So where you will be having the direct producer consumers, which will be calling and which will be executing. But again, I'm suggesting to go with this program because it is very simple to remember. My class is one class, producer class, consumer class. Extends the threads. Then you write the get method, put method, right? So this is how the producer consumer problem will be solved in Java. Now let us go further. Already we executed, no need to show output, you can execute. So this is again one form of producer consumer problem, which we call it also as bounded buffer problem. This is one form of producer consumer problem. So this is one of the classical example of your producer consumer. So what is this bounded buffer problem? We will see now. Sorry. Yeah. So what is this bounded buffer problem? We'll see. See, let us assume there is a buffer of n slots. There is a buffer of n slot, right? Each slot is capable of storing 1 unit of data. Each slot is capable of storing 1 unit of data. So this is our buffer. We have n slots here. That means n units are there. We can store n number of values. Let us assume there are two processors which are running. One is called producer, second one is called consumer, which is producer and consumer. So what producer will do? Producer try to insert data into the empty slot of the buffer. Consumer try to remove the data filled slot from the buffer. Filled slot from the buffer. Same like your producer consumer problem. Same like your producer consumer problem. Now let us assume if producer and consumer both of them are working concurrently. both of them are working concurrently, right? See, in the previous example, what is happening? Until producer produce it, consumer is not consuming it. So once the producer produces and buffer is full, then only consumer is consuming it. Sequentially they are working, but here they are working concurrently. Producer is checking whether the buffer is empty, he'll produce. Consumer is checking whether the buffer is full, it is consuming it, right? So if they want to work concurrently, if they want to work concurrently, then so what is going to happen? So that means producer is working independently, consumer is going to work independently. So in that scenario, how to write your program? That is called buffer bound program or buffer bound problem or bounded buffer problem. Now hope you understand. In the producer consumer, what is happening? Producer and consumer are dependent on each other. Until unless producer produces it and the buffer is full, consumer will be waiting and then consumer is going to consume it. That is the scenario. So there is no issue because both of them are depending on each other. But whereas here coming to bounded buffer problem, that is not the scenario. Producer is keep on producing it, consumer is keep on consuming it if the item is available. So they are going to work independently. There is no relation between producer and consumer. They are working independently. Then how to write the solution for this, right? So let us see an example. Not examples, let us see the solution. So here we are creating a class called buffer. So within that we are taking a final variable maximum buffer size. So the maximum buffer size we are taking here. Sorry, we are taking one more array called store and starting of the buffer, ending of the buffer, buffer size. These are the variables which we are taking. Why we are using these variables and all we will see slowly in the program. So initially what we are doing, so we are creating a buffer method with the size as a variable. Buffer method with the size as a variable. Now the maximum buffer size is allocated to variable called size. So buffer end is indicated with -1, buffer starting is 0 and initial buffer size is 0. Under store, that is array, we are creating a new array of store with the maximum buffer size. So this is going to be our maximum buffer size. This is going to be our maximum buffer size. So this is the method where we are just declaring all the variables. Can any one of you tell me why we are taking -1 here? Buffer end is -1. Is it default or is it a programmer who is giving that? Why we are taking buffer end as -1? Probably you might have studied in your strings concept in C programming. Yes, right. So let me tell you, like end of the buffer or end of the string is represented by -1 because see, the moment you start with the string or buffer 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 100, 1000, 2000, see it will be keep on increasing. But how to represent end of the string or end of the buffer? We'll use -1. That is the default case. Every time we'll use either in the strings or in the buffer. So that's why we are mentioning directly -1. Now what we are doing here is initially we need to insert the items. Initially we need to insert the item. I am using a method called insert, which is a synchronized method. Synchronized method. Now what we are doing, first we are checking whether the buffer size is maximum buffer size. That means buffer is full. That means buffer is full. If the maximum buffer size and the buffer size is equal, then we are going to wait. Then we are going to wait. Then what we are doing? Buffer end equals to, what is the buffer end value? So the buffer end is -1, but we are creating buffer end equals to buffer end plus 1 modulo of maximum buffer size. Modulo of maximum buffer size. So what is going to happen? Can anyone of tell me why we are writing this statement? See, first we are checking whether the buffer is full or not. So how to check? How to check buffer is full or not? Buffer size equals to maximum buffer size. So we feel that if the condition satisfies, it's going to wait. Then we are calculating buffer end. So the buffer end is buffer end plus 1 and maximum buffer size, modulo of maximum buffer size. So why we are doing this? Why we are doing this? What is the purpose of this?
To check whether the buffer is full or not, like if there is an empty place in it or not.
That we checked here. If the buffer is full or not, we checked here. Why we need to do this? So any other answer? Why we are doing that statement? Right. So I'll just come back to this. I'll tell you why we are doing. Right. This is to check buffer end, but how we are checking, we'll come back. Then what we are doing, if a buffer size is not maximum buffer size, we are just increasing the buffer size, and then we are notifying all the people saying that so there is some element getting inserted, and then catch block as usual we are doing. Right. So that means what we are doing here is first we are checking whether the buffer size is maximum buffer size. If it is true, we're just waiting. Otherwise, what is the buffer end value? We are resetting it. Buffer end value has been resetted. Now let's say for example, what is the buffer end value? So -1, so +1, -1, +1. So it will become 0. -1 is the buffer end value. We created 0. 0 modulo of something. What is the output? 0 modulo of something. What is the output? Yes. Most of your mathematics background, 0 modulus of 10. Let's say for example 10 is the maximum buffer size. 0 modulus of 10, what is the value?
0.
0 or infinite? Zero modulus of 10, what is the value? Harshita is telling 0. Is it correct at least? Are you there with me? Others? At least put in the chat box. What is the 0 modulus of 10 value?
Zero, sir.
0. Good. Okay, at least someone is there in the class. Good, fine. So 0. Now what will happen? The buffer end value will become 0. Now we can start inserting the values. So that's why we are increasing the buffer size. Like next time it will become 1, 2, 3. Up to what condition? Until the buffer size will become maximum buffer size. So that will be notified to all the threads. That will be notified to all the threads. So that is called insert method. At the same time, we are also going to use delete method. We are going to use the delete method. So now what we are going to do, we are just going to create a variable called ch, which is assigned to 0. What is that ch? Will come back. So now what we are doing, we are checking the condition. While buffer size equals to 0, we need to wait. So that means buffer size becomes empty or buffer becomes empty, we need to wait. So now what we are doing, under the store, we are going to the buffer start. So buffer start value. Then now what we are doing, we are assigning the buffer start value. So that is buffer start equals to buffer start plus 1 and maximum buffer size. Say for example, if the buffer start value is 1 or sorry, initially it is 0, 1 modulo of 10. So then it will check the value and then it will start deleting one by one. So by like first element, second element, third element, fourth element, 10th element. So like that it is going to delete. See, do we need to really write this statement? It is up to us. It is up to us. So why we write this one is, it is a default statement because we don't know the buffer start value. We don't know maximum buffer size. So this program will work for whatever might be the buffer start value, whatever might be the maximum buffer size. If you want, you can give some value to buffer start and calculate manually the mathematical steps. Then you come to know about it. So initially here we incremented buffer size because we are inserting it. Here the buffer size will be decremented because we are deleting one by one. See, I am not writing any delete function, anything here. It is just to show the concept, how the producer consumer, if they work independently, how it is going to happen. So there will be one insert operation, there will be one delete operation. So insert will be done when producer produces it. Consumer, when it consumes it, we are going to call the delete method. Producer will insert, consumer will delete when they are working independently. So when they are working independently, you don't need to call them producer consumer because that is one method, this is another method. So one is called insert, second one is called delete. So when keep on reducing this value, one place you will get 0. One place you will get 0, then the particular thread will say that wait. So that means the entire buffer is empty. The entire buffer is empty. So when the entire buffer will become empty, the consumer will wait until producer produces it. Once the producer will produce it, the consumer will start consuming it. But here the problem is, or here the difference compared to your producer consumer problem, you need to understand. In the producer consumer problem, there is a coordination. The moment producer produces it, it is going to notify to all. The consumer consumes and then notify all. But here nothing is that, nothing like that. So the notification is a common notification. So anyone can come and work on it. So there is a insert method, there is a delete method. Insert will be keep on running, delete also keep on running. Someone is inserting, someone is deleting. Someone is inserting, someone is deleting. That means producer is producing it, consumer is consuming it. Producer is producing, consumer is consuming. So it is a continuous process. Whereas there in the producer consumer problem, first producer will produce every item, then consumer will consume it. So that is the difference between the previous one and this one. Now, what is going to happen? The consumer has to consume the items. The consumer has to consume the item. So for that we are writing as usual consumer thread. So the consumer is going to consume the values, or consumer is going to read the values. For that we are writing the delete method. Same like previous program. There we have written get and put. Here consumer is delete, producer is insert. Consumer is delete and producer is insert. Same like that, same like previous program only. Only the difference is there it is get and put, here it is delete and insert. But there is no communication between this producer and consumer. They are going to work independent to each other. They are going to work independent to each other. So you can see here the producer method is insert, the consumer method is delete, right? So this is how the bound buffer problem will be done. Bound buffer problem will be done. And coming to this is the main method. We are going to create a buffer method. We are going to call it. The buffer size we have allocated is 5. The buffer size allocated is 5, and producer object is produce, consumer object is consume, and as usual we are starting the producer consumer threads. Producer consumer threads. So in middle, if you want to join the threads, so you can join it if there is any interruptions which are happening. Because why you will get interruptions? Because they are working independent to each other. There is no relation between this producer and consumer. They are working independent to each other. Surely you will get the interrupt. Sometimes producer is not produced, still consumer trying to consume it, or consumer consumed it, producer feeling that still under consumer is consuming, let me wait. So that is the reason we are writing one separate catch block here. So what it will do, the producer will check whether the buffer is empty, then it will join and it will produce it. Consumer will go and check whether the buffer is full or not. Sometimes it will be empty, then it will raise an interrupt saying that there is a empty buffer. There is a empty buffer, right? So like this, it is going to do the task. So I have not explained this one because it is same like previous program, but only thing is instead of put get, we are using delete and insert. So this is called bounded buffer problem. This is called bounded buffer problem, right? Same way, we also have one more problem called readers writer problem. Readers writer problem. So this is another example of your synchronization. This is another example of synchronization. What is this readers writer problem? Please go through this statement once. I'll just pause for a minute. You just go through for that and then I'll explain. Right. So let's say, for example, here we have a document which is a shared resource. There are multiple readers who can read it, but the problem comes with respect to writer. The problem comes with respect to writer. What is the problem? So only one writer can write at a time. Only one writer can write at a time, and when writer is writing it, so other processors should be in the ideal position. So they should not do any activity, right? So if there is no readers, if there is no readers, then writer cannot write it, because when writer is writing it, it is a reader who will be reading it. See, same example you can take. Now I am explaining it. There should be some audience who will be listening it. Then only if I write something, you could able to consume it, right? So in this kind of scenarios, what we can do, when a particular writer want to write it, so the readers has to wait until the writer writes it. Same time, other writers also has to wait until the writer completes the task. So that means what we need to do, the method has to be made it as a synchronized method. The method has to be made in as a synchronized method. That means only one writer can write at a time, multiple readers can see. And when the writer is writing it, so readers can only read it but cannot write it, right? So this is another way example of synchronization problem, another example of synchronization problem, right? So this solution I'll just share with you. You can go through it. Any doubt is there, in the next class you can ask, because this is a task where we are going to see the readers writer problem. See, producer consumer, bounded buffer, reader writers, all are almost similar problems. Only the condition is changing. In the producer consumer, producer and consumer are dependent on each other. In the bounded buffer, producer consumer are independent to each other. Readers writers problem, there is no concept of producer consumer, but reader writer will be there. How they are going to react according to the condition. See, tomorrow when I started this concept threading, I said it's very important, because in tomorrow once you become once you become software engineer, these are the real-time conditions which you will face. Real-time conditions which you will face. To give you an example, take your Flipkart website. There is one product sale is going on. So let's say, for example, there is one Sony TV which is getting sold. There is only 30 units in the warehouse. There are only 30 units in the warehouse. But there is an offer. At a stretch, 1,000 users are trying to buy it. At a stretch, 1,000 users are trying to buy it. How you are going to prioritize top 30 users? Top 30 users. The moment you prioritize top 30 users, the remaining 970 users will be under waiting condition. Out of these 30 users, if any one of the users say after before doing the payment, if he says that no, I don't want TV, he will escape from the list. He will escape from the list, or he will exit from the Flipkart app. Then you need to give one more person option, because you cannot waste your warehouse, right? You need to add one more person from the 970. How you are going to do it? So that is very important. So that is where you are going to get this. Or take your Swiggy or Zomato, you are placing the order. There will be multiple people who will be placing the order. There will be multiple people who will be placing the order. Say for example, 10 people placing the order same in the same restaurant, like for example, take Itihas, which is close to our college. Itihas restaurant, 10 people place the order. How they are going to prioritize the order? Whether based on the time, whether based on the order value, whether based on the items. And once it is prioritized, say for example, if only one resource is available, only one person is available to deliver it. So how he is going to manage all these 10? So for that, you need to write the solution. So most of your real-time problems will come with either producer consumer, bounded buffer, readers writers, or multi-level threading, synchronization. So these concepts surely you are going to use in your real-time once you become software engineer. Once you become software engineer, right? So I'm just stopping this class here. In the next class, we are going to talk about the applets, and also we are going to talk about the swings. We are going to talk about the what you call event handling, right? We are going to talk about event handling, right? So thanks for joining the class. If any doubts are there, you can put me in the WhatsApp, or you can ask in the next class. Thank you.